Here's the player that the Canucks stole from the Florida Panthers at last year's deadline. Here's a tweet. You don't have to answer this, but this guy expresses the same thought as a lot of people. He is Nitesh Narendran, and he says Chris Higgins could be the best kept secret in the NHL. You want to react to that?
I don't know. I enjoy who I'm playing with. I'll say that.
Yeah, put you in an awkward spot. So anyway, we're going to talk about how you've prospered here in Vancouver in a moment. But first, Kevin, the game.
Yeah, what do you think of the game? I thought it was very hard fought. Columbus certainly played you guys very well. You had to earn this one, but you guys played hard tonight.
Yeah, it's difficult to play those teams, I think. They got nothing to lose. They're playing loose. They know all the pressure's on us to perform, and they played well tonight. They battled, they competed, but I thought we played better as a five-man unit tonight, and it showed on the ice.
60-plus shots at net, too.
Yeah, last two games we've
right.
put up a lot of shots. I think we're starting to get to the inside a little bit more, take away the goalie's eyes, and it's producing goals for us.
Nice.
I asked you on this program a year ago if you thought when the Canucks got you from Florida, if you'd hit the mother lode, and your answer at the time was, well, we'll see. And we saw you go all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final and be a vital player for the Canucks, which you have been this year, staph infections aside. So what's the answer now?
It's been just an enjoyable experience on and off the ice. Great organization from the owner on down, and I really enjoyed my time here. Looking forward to another long spring. I think we all are. We're starting to settle in. Our game's starting to come together, I think. Like I said, it should be fun.
Staph infections. They have plagued you this year.
Let's keep mentioning that over and over again. It's done wonders for my life.
Well, we can't ignore it because it's cost you some strength. You lost 10 pounds this year. You were on a very tough course of antibiotics. I think you missed 5 games in December, another 6 in February. How's this sounding now? It's like an obituary. But how tough was it to play through them? Because for the most part, you did.
Yeah, January was a really tough month for me. I think I should have took off a little bit more time than I did, but just zaps your energy. You get dizzy in between shifts, nauseous. And then the second illness came around, and that was probably the worst I've ever felt in my life. Dropped 12 pounds. Didn't make it out of my apartment for 2 days. Didn't drink water or eat anything for 2 days. It was pretty rough.
Is there anything that you're taking now? Are you supplementing extra protein shakes, or have you changed your diet or anything?
I'm back up to weight now, but enjoying the desserts for a while. It's a lot of fun going up than going down.
Exactly,
that's for sure.
Exactly.
Here's a tweet from, it's gone blank here. I'll just get it up, from Carly Allen. Who's a player you've met in your career who has inspired you to be a better player and a person on and off the ice?
Probably Saku Koivu. Played with him in Montreal for 4 years as a line mate. Got to know him really well. Just a classy individual. Comes to work every day. Enjoys his time on the ice, and very nice off the ice to everyone on the team. Makes you feel welcomed. And he was one of my favorite players growing up. And to have a chance to play with him in the NHL was a dream come true for me.
Okay, back to the Stanley Cup run last spring. 25 playoff games. You had 4 goals. 3 of those were winners. So that's something. And there's a round of applause from David Booth. Thank you, David. It was revealed later, though, that you did most of that on a broken foot. You suffered a broken foot in the second round against Nashville. I think we've got it here. You can tell us if this is it and what happened.
Went down to block 1, passed it over, and it hurt a lot after that. But, the playoffs, either you can play or you can't play, and I was able to play through it. So no excuses. When you're out there, you got to get the job done. So I'm happy I was able to play through it. It would have been tough watching games.
Were you ever close to not playing, to not being able to get your foot in the boot?
Maybe the first couple games, but I gained confidence when I was able to get through those and play pretty well. And then, net back bugged me for the rest of the year. But, like I said, at that time, everyone's banged up. Everyone's playing through something, and, you just got to make it work.
I want your take on the Amex line, because I love watching you guys play, and I think you guys have developed some really good chemistry right now, and maybe prior to tonight been the best line for this team.
Different style than the Sedins play, that's for sure, and I think it's a little tougher teams to handle. Obviously the Sedins are some of the best passers in the game. Kind of reinvented the power play break-in. It's amazing to watch them from the bench, but our line plays a little more direct, a little more straight ahead, and with how big and strong Ryan and David are, it's a lot to handle down low. They create a lot of space for me, and like I said, it's a lot of fun playing with them.
To underline that point, here's a tweet from a guy named Jag Gill. It's witty, so that's why I'm going to read it. Again, you don't have to answer it, but Chris, without you on the Amex line, why does it seem that line has insufficient funds cards keep getting declined.
Very witty.
Yeah. Right.
So just missing that last American, I think. I think we enjoy playing together, and it shows on the ice.
Tweet from Ray of Sunshine. Ask Chris about this picture.
I think that was actually hacked from David Booth's phone, so I don't really know what's going on about that.
Listen, you're in superb condition, and that picture made the rounds on the internet earlier this season. Have you been getting the business about it from the guys?
So I've heard. I'm not on Twitter. I don't expect to be joining anytime soon, but I've heard it's made its rounds.
Okay, well, Twitter blew up tonight because there was another one on the bench in this game. It was sent to us by our friend Guts McTavish. There it is.
They're going to start thinking I'm doing that on purpose now. A little equipment malfunction, but I don't think anybody minds, right?
I had a tweet from Ellen Ransford, if I can find it here, and it's well, I can't, but I remember it. She said, I should get green beer if I could convince you to do after hours with your shirt off.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. That's too low of a price.
We got to sweeten the pot a
You
little
got to
bit.
sweeten the pot.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about the conditioning since Scott's stuck on your abs. So speak a little bit more about your conditioning, though, in the off-season. You were telling us off camera that you train back home in Long Island, and tell us a little bit about it.
It was a little bit different this year. Obviously, we're going into the middle of June.
Right.
I really didn't lift as many weights. I kind of just did more conditioning, more running. And started skating a little bit earlier than normal. But I've been skating back home with Mike Komisarek, Eric Nystrom, Matt Gilroy.
That footage, by the way, Chris, is from your days with the Montreal Canadiens. Not that long ago, but is this a typical workout for you?
Yeah, shirt optional, of course.
Yeah.
Got the tan going.
Nice.
As long as we're outside, as long as we're changing it up, making it fresh every day, it's enjoyable to work out.
Okay, back to the abs.
I told you.
Because
watch out for him.
I'm telling you, Twitter blew up tonight when Guts McTavish sent me that picture. There had 40 tweets about it.
I'm starting to get a little uncomfortable. I'm sweating a little bit.
All right. We'll shift right.
Guts McTavish wants to know who has the best abs on the team, you or Ryan Kessler. More importantly, who has the worst?
Who has the worst? I can't throw anybody
You
under
can't
the
throw
bus, right? Like wives are watching, girlfriends are watching.
Smart. Veteran call by you there.
Ryan's got the best Photoshop ones, I'll say that.
Oh, wow.
He denies anything was photoshopped in that picture. I'm just telling you.
That's your line mate, though. That's your line, though.
Okay, I'll take his word for it.
All right. Chris Higgins, our guest on After Hours, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's most important of all to him, and that's family life as we continue from Rogers Arena. Welcome back to Rogers Arena in Vancouver as we continue with After Hours. Our guest is Chris Higgins of the Canucks, and let's go right to a tweet. This is from Gay Canuck, and I believe this person is openly gay, and please let's not have any stupid or meathead comments about that because this is the year 2012, and you should also know that the NHL is on the cutting edge thanks largely to a program spearheaded by Patrick Burke in honor of his brother Brendan to try to eliminate discrimination against gay athletes in sport. If you can play, you can play, and that's what the question is about. Do you support the You Can Play program, which I'm pretty sure you do, and what do you think of your pal Ryan Kessler being the rep for the Canucks?
I think it says a lot for to him come out and say that we're all supportive, and I think for us it's really a non-issue. If you're good enough to play, why not? I think our generation's more accepting of people's orientation, so it's not an issue at all for us.
Fair enough. All right, let's talk about family. I think we've got some videotape of you, and again, this is older footage of you coming back to Smithtown in New York, where you were born and raised. This is in the off-season, I think, after, your first year in Montreal?
That's right.
And we're showing it because I know that you take pride in coming from what you call a blue-collar family.
Yeah, we've always got the beers going.
It is St. Patty's Day today.
Yeah, I guess so. Family's such an important part of my life, and fortunate enough to grow up with such a strong network from everyone, from my grandma, grandpa, everyone comes to games, uncles, and I've really enjoyed having them present at games throughout my life.
And how does that work now with you being on the left coast in terms of having family visits and managing phone time with the time change?
Your brother was here last week, right?
Yeah, that's right. He came to visit Tuesday
with his
wife. With his wife. Okay. Exactly. Yeah, they enjoyed their time. They're getting a little cranky because they got to stay up a little bit later, but they enjoyed our games. It's one of the more entertaining teams to watch.
Well, your father Bobby is the New York City Fire Department captain. Your brother Kevin, who was here last week, is a New York City police officer. They put their lives on the line every day when they go to work. So I'm wondering how much of your battle level on the ice, which is significant, comes from that?
You know what? It just makes me enjoy hockey more. I think seeing them go to work every day. I don't think it was more my dad. I kind of just took it for granted. And, you know, he works in a really dangerous area in Brooklyn, but I think it's hit home more when my brother became a cop, growing up with him, and then he makes this life choice where, you know, he's going to put his life on line every day. You know, I have a lot of respect, and it shows a lot of courage from him.
And maybe you could tell the folks about how much, you know, the New York City Fire Department and certainly the cops, how much they love sports. They love sports.
They love
guys.
sports.
The
The
PAL,
biggest,
Police Athletic
yeah,
League and
they're
stuff.
biggest sports supporters around. That's for sure. We appreciate it as well. Those guys are, you know, salt of the earth, all humble, loyal guys, and you know, it's a pleasure to grow up around them.
Get a real job. How many times have you heard that from Bobby?
Yeah, I'm the soft one in the family, that's for sure.
Listen, Bobby's with, this is your father, Engine Company number 231 Watkins Street. You must have had numerous chances to hang around the Watkins Street house when you were a kid. Little boys, clearly, if their father is a firefighter, would dream of becoming a firefighter. When did the dream switch from that to hockey for you?
I don't think I ever switched. I think I have my days where I wish I could,
Yeah.
you know, strap the suit on and you know, head to a fire. But like I said, I think I took it for granted growing up. You know, I went in a couple times. He would take me into work, ride the fire truck, and then maybe 2 years ago during the summer, I went in for stayed in overnight with him. And you know, being 26 at the time, I think I really took it in and appreciated what they do every night. You know, the way that meant to win a couple calls, and those guys are
awesome.
rock solid. They're most dependable people I've ever come across.
Your father was a first responder to the 9/11 disaster tragedy. He lost a lot of friends on that day. How did life in the Higgins household change?
He doesn't talk about it at all. I've never talked about him still to this day. But that's just, you know, how he deals with it, I guess. But like I said, it just makes you appreciate what you have. A lot of his friends passed, and you know, it was difficult to even think about my dad being one of them. So you take every day, you know, as every day is special, especially with your dad. You know, putting his life on the line every day.
He was, still is, I guess, a lifelong Montreal Canadiens fan. So it was a dream come true for him and for you when you were drafted in the first round by the Canadiens. You had 4 seasons there. He was shocked when the Canadiens traded you, and I read somewhere that you're in fact drafted. That's true.
Loudest person in the building, my mom, for sure, that day.
But Bobby was stunned when the Canadiens dealt you to New York. But then I read somewhere that a thought formed in his mind, and he said, hey, the 3 Higgins boys, all working the night shift in New York, decked out in different shades of blue. And didn't that sound neat?
Yeah, it was the first winter I spent home since I was 13 years old. I went away for prep school, and then I went to Yale for college. So first winter, and you know, it was like over 10 years. So I really enjoyed my time in New York. I had a tough year on the ice, but to be around my family every day and have them come to games, it was you know, something I'll never forget.
Final tweet. This is from Lillowette. Ask Chris if he knows the lyrics to "O Canada" in both languages, because you heard it in both for 4 years in Montreal.
That's tricky now.
Yeah,
That's tricky
you
now.
put me on the spot like this. Yeah, definitely not in French.
You went to Yale, you said?
Definitely not in French.
Yeah.
But I think I could belt out the English tune.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right,
Really
thanks, guys.
appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
thanks for having me.
Congratulations on a great season.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Chris Higgins of the Vancouver Canucks, our guest on After Hours. As always, we appreciate his time.